Welcome to East Coast DNA Podcast. This is
Darcy.
And I'm his brother Andrew. We bring you music news and interviews from the East Coast of Canada. With us today is Echo 7. We have Alan, Marcus, and Stephanie from the band. And they are a New Brunswick-based band that started in 2016 as a project of Alan and Justin. And then they got serious in 2019 when they started recruiting more members. And here they are today. Darcy.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
You can always tell when we have the technical difficulties, everyone's more smiley at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
A little restart there. Yeah.
So, you had mentioned just a moment ago that you had been playing in some earlier bands, and I wanted to get in a little bit. You started a recording studio?
I did. I started a studio in 2012 called the We Music Studios, and there was a production company attached to that. That's how I initially met Marcus, through that entity. So I've known of Marcus for years. We just have never. We did one song together under that production deal, and it was funny because, and I tell this story and I say it with love, and Marcus and I tell the story. So when Marcus met me and I'm like, yeah, I do rock music, Marcus is like, yeah, whatever. And so
sure you do.
Yeah, he's like, sure you do, right? And so he comes to the session, and so all of us are there, set up the drums or whatever. And I had like a t-shirt on, and I took the t-shirt off and had this little tank top on. I sit down the drums, and he's like, okay, he may be serious, I'm not sure yet. And then I play, and because he was like, no real drummer is going to drum with like a shirt on, right? That's not going to happen.
When you kick off the flip-flops, he knows you're real.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. If I was going barefoot, that would have sealed the deal. But and there was a whole thing with the drum kit. The guy who had the drum kit in the studio freaked out because I used his kit, and we started yelling back and forth. It was a great session.
Yeah, this is my first session with him too. Yeah, it was. I was just sitting back laughing the whole time. It's like, well, good. I'm glad I don't got to deal with this.
So that solidified my rock street cred with Marcus back in 2012. And so I had a studio for a bit and a production company, and that got interesting. We got nominated for Studio of the Year by Music New Brunswick back in 2012. I mean, it was what it was. It was a money pit, but it was an experience. I get, but it was a lot of work.
But those connections and experiences kind of somewhat helped you birth Echo 7 as a project as well.
It did, because it showed me that I wanted to do my own music. Helping musicians and recording musicians is one thing, but I've always been a drummer, and I've always wanted to create music, and so going through that experience and kind of taking that step back and helping others, and you can't give someone passion, you can't give someone motivation, you can't give someone a desire to do it. And so after wasting a lot of time and a lot of money, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to invest in anything or anyone, it's going to be myself.
Sure.
And so that is what got me back on track of wanting to start a band and write original music again, and find musicians who were interested in the same thing. So that's where that kind of all began, and here we are.
And so there was a couple earlier songs I found outside of, like, I know you're promoting new recordings, but when I was diving into some of your older stuff, there was, were you experimenting a little bit with the earlier sound? I found one song, Gunnin'.
Yeah. Let's not talk about those older songs.
Yeah, that's what, nobody likes when I get into the older songs. So, and I did notice too that going through the writing credits, that you maybe had some lineup changes there along the ways as well.
Yes, lots.
A couple.
And Steph, yourself, you wrote some lyrics on the more recent songs.
On one of the early-ish songs, I'm the Tree, and for Born From Ice are my lyrics, and one of the newer songs coming up as my lyrics.
So when you started this project, were you looking to have a female-fronted band for the sound, or did it just kind of come together to work out that way?
No, I've always wanted to have a female-fronted band, namely just for the melodic nature, and I don't, not to be stereotypical or put females in a box, but I've always liked how melodic melodies flow over rock riffs. And for us to find a Maynard was not going to happen. So it just the natural progression was like, no, I want a female fronted band, because I just felt if it was done right, it would really be awesome. And especially here, in the Maritimes. I wasn't familiar with Shades of Sorrow at the time. They're another local band here that's female fronted as well, with an amazing lead singer. And I guess I knew of them, but I wasn't familiar with their stuff. So I wasn't looking to like copy that. I was just like, you know what? I just want a female to sing. Because the way that I had the melodies in my head, I figured it would be easier for a female to do it than a male. Yeah. So that's my logic. It may be wrong, but that's what I was thinking at the time.
No, that range definitely fits the sound. It sounds perfect.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So, where did Stephanie come from? Stephanie, where did you come from?
Where'd you come from, Steph?
Pottersville, original.
Yeah.
Essentially, I've been me and Alon have been part of a project a couple times here in Moncton, and we met at that project. Basically behind the scenes, like waiting for the show to start, and we met 2 years in a row, I think.
Yes.
And we didn't really get to know each other that much until one of our mutual friends wanted to record a song with me at Alon's studio. So that kind of brought us together, and our earlier songs you mentioned, which we don't want to talk about, but we kind of do. But we did have a rap component earlier on with our remember Daryl Vautour, and he is essentially who introduced me to Alon. So after that recording, Alon approached me with the idea of the project Echo 7, and I was a bit hesitant at first because I started off as a folk singer. So I'd never done any rock, any metal at all before. So it was a totally new genre for me, but I said yes. So here we are, 2 years, almost 3 years.
Good decision, because it sounds like you have a history of singing the rock, the higher.
I don't, but I appreciate that.
No, it sounds great.
Well, and I think Alon, it's you that I talk to sometimes there through Instagram, writing messages.
Yeah, it's only me that you talk to through Instagram.
Yeah. So when you were saying about supporting bands and everything, that's one thing that Andrew and I like for these episodes too, is to have artists on that are supporting other artists that are up and coming, like supporting each other. And like you did it right away, mentioning one of the other bands, but even your stories about what you were looking for sound and what you're creating and everything, there's a lot of similarities, not with just one band, but with several different bands in Nova Scotia. I think I sent you a couple different ones over the last couple months.
Yeah.
So if there's any bands that you guys see in around the New Brunswick area, especially where we're way over here in Nova Scotia, if there's any suggestions you have for us, that is something that we're trying to do on some of these newer episodes too, is venture a little bit more outside of Nova Scotia. Try to find out what other bands are out in the East Coast. And I think originally I found you guys when I was doing an early bonus episode. I was experimenting with the podcast format, and you guys had a song that was out, would have been 2001 sometime. Would have been a single just before you put out stuff for the new album.
It might have been, so that might have been the millionth incarnation of everything.
Yes.
Could have been everything.
Yes, it was. It was. That is what it
everything
was.
Version 63.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That should be the name of every song I write.
Yeah. So the only reason why there were 3 versions was just two reasons. One, the label was like, put it out, and 2, I just felt that song never got a fair shake. And that's partially my fault. Maybe I should have waited until the song was sounding the way that I wanted to. I was just so excited to have the project and excited to put out new music and excited to be doing original music again, that, I put it out as it was, and, and then I went back and did it again, and then we went back and did it again. And so that's my fault, but yes, there are 3 versions of one song, which,
Yeah, you're not the only one that did that either. It's fun as a fan to dig through and follow stuff too, right?
You get the remix, then you get the rock remix, and then you get the rock remix.
we're trying to avoid that. It's one of those things where, with everything, it was like, okay, this is the last time we are ever doing this ever again.
Yeah.
But we're working on we're trying to do a remix album of the EP. So I guess we are doing it again, but there will be a remix
on purpose this time.
What's that?
On purpose this time.
On purpose this time.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely intentional this time. Yeah, absolutely.
So Marcus, with your guitar playing, were you always rock, or did you start somewhere else? And what kind of is your influence on your style?
Well, I started off, when I first started learning, it was always rock and metal. I mean, my first and still main influence, of course, is Randy Rhoads. I heard Crazy Train when I was 13 years old, and just fell in love with the riff, and then started basically learning everything off that album. I'd only been playing guitar for maybe a year. Took the the required initial lessons to learn my chords and all that kind of stuff. And but then, within a pretty short time, I got into rock. Ozzy, Maiden, Priest, AC/DC. The standard fare.
Mm-hmm.
Of a guy my age there with the gray hair. Back in the '80s. So yeah, I got into that, and then of course studied classical and stuff. For a little while in high school. I had a great teacher, Ed Richard, actually, in Mississauga, in the music program at Meadowvale Secondary School when I lived up there was great. And one of the music programs that they have is actually guitar and classical guitar. So we got to delve into that and learn some classical stuff there. And then it just progressed from there. I mean, got into heavily into bands like Queensryche and Fate's Warning, and a lot more melodic type metal stuff. Not I mean, yes, I mean, I still love my Slayer, and I still love my Lamb of God and things like that. I got more into got really heavily into Queensryche and really loved the orchestration, the arrangements, and just the overall dual, it was an extension of the dual guitar thing that I really enjoy with Priest and with Maiden and things like that. And just kept learning and practicing, and 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 here we are today, right? Still playing metal and rock. I mean, I don't really refer to it all as metal. I mean, Alon Alon will know this too, but I mean, for me, it's just rock, right? It's hard rock.
Yeah.
And what all these labels and stuff, but at the
An
end of the
umbrella.
day, yeah, exactly, it's all under the umbrella of hard rock. So but as far as influences, main one guitar wise is definitely Randy Rhoads. Got heavily into Tony McAlpine and all that as well. Of course, can't play a note that he's ever written, but I still love his arranging and the choice of notes and things like that. So there's still things that I can pull out of, even though I can't play a lot of his stuff. A lot of ideas and things like that I can pull out of his arrangements. So hopefully that's some of what I bring to Echo 7. And I saw the ad and reached out to Alana where we did have the history. I was doing originals back then as well, and I was just recording at home. And my involvement with Alana was really twofold. One was, okay, I want to get this stuff recorded, better than just in my room here, because I'm not a drummer or anything like that. But I mean, I can put the bass down, guitars, and I can put my vocals down. But drums and stuff, I would just usually just throw one drum loop, extend it for the length of the song, and it was the same beat through the whole song. But I also wanted to learn more about production and recording and things like that. So my involvement with Alam was really twofold. One, it gave me a little bit of studio experience, but it also allowed me to see some of the production stuff that happens as well with, the mixing and the mastering. And I worked on that up until, we came back together. And then, when I saw the ad, I reached out to Alon and said, hey, if you guys are still looking, he says the story, I may be interested.
What you
And I may have written that in the chat. I may have.
You may.
Yeah, I may have.
You didn't want to sound too eager, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, because I've been playing, the cover band classic rock circuit and stuff for quite a few years, and yes, well, there's either way, there's no money in that, and there's no money in playing originals either.
No
Right. So I
money in
figured,
you?
well, yeah. So I figured, well, I might as well do something that I enjoy doing. And that was more
Mm.
down the original path. Right. And I mean, either way, I was still writing originals, and, I still had lots of riffs and things like that. And then same thing, I heard some of their earlier stuff and just thought that I could maybe bring, a little bit of experience into the group, as well as a different ear and a bit more structure to some of the songs. Like, and I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. It's just, and I've spoken to everyone about this, and the OGs in the band I'm talking about. A lot of it just seems to be riffs thrown together with some of the older stuff, whereas now we seem to have a bit more structure in the songwriting, and,
Mhm.
and we're taking a lot more time and really working out the parts, and so that Justin and I aren't playing exactly the same thing all the time. We are a two guitar player band, so we don't want the two guitars always playing the same thing,
Mhm.
right? So things like that. So it gives us the opportunity to um kind of orchestrate a little bit differently, add a couple of some different layers, different tones onto it, and they didn't really have any leads or anything. And of course, me again being my main reference is the 80s metal, of course, always had guitar solos, but even then not over what I'm bringing. I'm not trying to bring it so that it's over the top, but bring in something that's at least adds to the song, and you know doesn't try to take anything over in it, but just really adds to the flavor of the tracks that we're writing.
You should find your space in the middle there and spice
Yeah,
everything up. Yeah.
exactly. Right.
And that's something I noticed when I did listen through the album is there is layers and there is a full song. All the parts are there. It's noticeable that there's thought put into it, and you're not just hitting record and then recording. So it's good.
Yeah. We do that when we start demoing stuff.
Yeah.
Right, of course, because then we're all famous
Hit
for
record on the phone.
yeah, it's like, hey, play that riff again. It's like, what riff? I was just noodling around. So now, like, we make it a habit, when we get together and rehearse, it's just the record button is always on. Like, just in case, Justin's over there playing something, and he's a great riff writer, but ask him to play it back again, something that he just, was just noodling around. He's like, I don't know, I was just playing around. So at least now, we record pretty much every rehearsal that we have. Then when we do noodle around, at least like, oh, remember that riff? And everyone's like, no. Then we can at least go back and listen to it again and relearn it, and hopefully just keep it for another one of the the new tracks that we're working on.
Yeah. Every time I noodle, I hit record because
Yeah.
you'll miss something, or you'll be like, I'll go
Oh,
back and
every
I'll play
time,
that later. And
There
you're
goes
going,
that.
I'll remember that, no problem at all, right? And 99.9% of the time you go to play it again, it's like, no, I can't remember what I played there at all, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's very important.
Absolutely.
That one time you do remember it, it's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you remember the bad riffs, right? You
Yeah.
can never remember those really cool ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So who's the mastermind behind the music videos?
Well, okay, so
That's a long story.
that's well, yeah.
Are they all different people for like each project?
Well, no. So for
Not
the
recent.
first, yeah. So for a tree, for I Am the Tree, and for the last incarnation of everything, that was me. We were lucky enough and very fortunate enough that when Marcus came on board, he also brought along a videographer, a good friend of his called Taylor Pennell. He's got a company called Pretty Okay Media, and Taylor has been a godsend. Like, he literally has taken our optics to that level that I've always wanted us to be at. So Keep From Breaking, Only I, Blame, that's all him. Our band photos, all him. All the live photos, all him. Um, Taylor and I, we talk and we chat and we say, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and he throws in his ideas. I send him the song, and he's great. He storyboards everything, and he's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna shoot it. It's just been an amazingly positive experience to have him on board. Honestly, like I said, or a few seconds ago, it's been great. Like before, it was all on my shoulders to shoot the video, come with the idea, do the
I
band.
edited.
Yes, Steph would edit, and it was like, oh my, and it was. We tried to do everything in house and do the DIY thing, and we had a really hard, like we couldn't find a videographer. Like we would put posts out on Facebook, and and we could not find anybody. And so, like again, Marcus came along, was like, hey, I know a guy, and he might be interested. It's been great.
He may want to come and try out.
You may.
Yeah, he may be interested. I'm not sure. I could ask him though.
Yeah.
Word of the day.
Taylor has been amazing. And he is the creative genius for making us look as good as we do now. So that's all him.
Just that combined with your social media presence, I just noticed that it seemed like you had a whole package with the album and everything all together. Like, so you could tell that you're all working together as a team anyway.
Yeah, we're trying. Like, we're just trying to do things as professional and the way that because I mean, you look at other bands on Instagram or social media, and I don't compare myself with any other bands, but I do like to see processes and take cues from different bands and different labels and how they're promoting their stuff. Like we started doing little snippet promo 15-second little videos for upcoming songs. So I saw bands doing that, so I started integrating that into our promotion. Just little odd little videos. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but as long as it's a video and it's a visual and it ties into the song, that's all you really need. And so I started doing that, and then just making sure that we're promoting on all the platforms, and doing a build up over the week leading up to it, doing a little countdown with the posts and stuff. So I like to pick up different, like I said, different processes and different things that other bands are doing to kind of engage their fans, and and keep the branding cohesive is really important too. Make sure the artwork is consistent, make sure the labeling is consistent, make sure the fonts are all consistent. All those little things that, give you that air of being professional and being a band to be taken seriously. We try to focus on that, and we pick and choose our platforms too. Like we're not on everything. Even streaming wise, Spotify can kick rocks. I can't them. So we've learned to focus where we're getting the most engagement, the most value, and reaching the most.
Sure.
Because honestly, it doesn't make sense to wear yourself so thin. Like when we first started, we were thinking about doing, a Twitch channel, because all the bands were doing like these Twitch channels at the time. And like 2021, early 22, everyone was doing like a gaming channel on Twitch. And it was like, and Steph and I talked about it, and we're like, can we do this? Do we have time? And Steph's like, yes, we could, but the investment of setting up, to do gaming streaming is huge if you're going to do it right. Not to mention, you got to build your following. It's not instantaneous, and not to mention, everyone and their dog is doing gaming streaming, right? It's a crowded. It's just as crowded as music.
Yeah.
So everything that they throw out there for independent bands to do to engage fans, you got to kind of sift through it. And the first bit, we had to sift through it and really kind of sit down and say, okay, what works for us? What fits into the image of what we are and who we are? And what are we really going for? Are we going for analytics and numbers, or are we going for, real fans that we can touch and see and interact with? And we opted for the latter. So I can care less what Spotify's year in review is. I don't care, right? 1 million streams means nothing if 2 people show up at my show, right? Like, that's just facts. I don't need that means nothing to me, right? I'd rather do a show in PEI and have someone literally buy every piece of merch that we have on the table.
That was
But didn't
awesome.
have 1 million streams on Spotify. That means more to me than the streams, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it just comes down to, you know, we had to really figure out and decide where we saw our value and what kind of band we wanted to be. Do we want to be a band that looks like we're being successful, or do we want to be a band that actually is putting in the work and seeing the progress in real time? And, you know, so we work just hard just to kind of keep everything cohesive and just to do the best that we can, I guess.
So what is your preference for online, though, for your streams? It's usually something we kind of close out with, but since we're on the topic.
Oh, okay.
Not Spotify?
We are everywhere. We are in all the platforms just because the distribution allows us to.
Mhm.
I would prefer if everyone would stream and purchase our records on Bandcamp. As of right now, that is the best way to do it for us. Apple Music is good. Amazon is actually not too bad. I'm actually working on. They actually released a thing where you can integrate a merch store with the music now. So you can buy. They do on-demand printing now, so you can buy the CD and the merch at the same time.
Okay.
Kind of cool. But right now, Bandcamp is our preferred method. Now I know Bandcamp is not iOS Apple friendly. I'm hoping they work that out sooner than later. But you know, if you have an Android phone or if you're willing to do the iTunes side load nonsense, Bandcamp is the way to go because it pays us the most. You know, when you purchase, so that is kind of where we're looking. But Bandcamp or Apple Music are the two favorites of ours right now.
Bandcamp is one we usually push if someone wants to have that push. That's kind of what we always went with because it seems to be the best. I have $8 in my Bandcamp account actually.
So Bandcamp is awesome. Like, I just wish they would be better. I really wish that their app was better, and I wish that they would, whatever beef they've got with Apple, I wish they would just like it and just get it done. Because it's annoying. Like when you tell people about Bandcamp, they're like, "What?" You know, which is sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
But you know, Bandcamp, as far as like, you know, their Bandcamp Fridays and everything, for an artist, it's the best platform right now. That we prefer, and it does well where we do good.
And you have merch on Bandcamp as well?
No, the merch we do through Redbubble, which is kind of cool. They're a Canadian company. They do on-demand printing, and you can order anywhere in the world. And all the designs that we sell at the show are on the site. And we like to keep the prices pretty close to what we do at the shows. There is a markup because it is a third-party store. But we like to try to keep the prices as close to what we charge at the shows. I think right now on Redbubble you can get a shirt for $23, and we sell the shirts for $20 at shows. So we try to keep it as close as possible, right? But at least with Redbubble, you're getting a shirt right to your door, and you know, got shirts and, you know, pillows and mugs and different cool items that we like to put up there. Not too many items to overwhelm you, but a couple of cool items that you wouldn't find at a show that we're able to sell to them.
And Redbubble always gives you one of their own stickers, so you're paying for that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big sticker. You get a sticker, it's like a big 3-inch sticker.
Exactly. But you know, they've been really good to us so far, and the fact that they do Canadian fulfillment is awesome. Because a lot of on-demand printing companies do not. And not to mention the fees and the tariffs and all that they throw on there. So the fact that they do Canadian and you're not paying a huge amount extra is really nice.
Yeah, and shipping from anywhere else is getting more expensive every day. So
it really is, man. It really, really is.
I was going to buy an album from a guy in the States, and it was $75 for shipping. I was like, I was like, I'll just buy your album on Bandcamp. Yeah. Pretend it's on.
I think people are taking the eBay. You know remember how like back in the day, eBay, like before people clued in that you could like charge $1 million for shipping for a $1 item.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what people do. I think that's what people are doing now. Like, oh yeah, like it's only like a 2-ounce package, but I'm going to charge you like $80.
And Reverb's the same too. Reverb, people I was going to buy a bass DI for $60, and the shipping was $429. I was like, you almost got me. Like, you almost got me. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah.
That's
So you had mentioned buying the stuff at shows as well. So I know from following you that online, you guys just played a few shows there. Actually, you were doing like a little mini tour.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the Maritime X-Ray and Use
technically
tour.
Still on it.
One last show in Fredericton at the Broken Records Bar.
And you haven't made it over to Nova Scotia yet?
No, we tried. We
Yeah.
you know what? And maybe I should have picked your brains a bit more about that, because I had reached out to a couple of bands, Feathers and Anvils, and a couple of other bands that I had found, and everyone was telling us that it was like dead in the water, like no venues, and like no one was booking shows, and they weren't up to anything. And I was like, okay, I guess so. We'll be hitting Nova Scotia this time.
Okay.
So that was the response I was getting to the people that I reached out to, but clearly they were wrong.
There's a few metalheads around. I don't get to too many of the shows myself up in the city, but I know that there's some bands around. I don't know what the crowd sizes are like for a lot of them, but I imagine ECMAs in May. You guys might want to take a journey over our way. It's in Halifax this year, so.
Well, we have applied for a couple categories and a couple of showcases, so we'll see what that brings forth in the new year. But we did submit this project for, I believe, loud recording, rock recording, and I think we applied for one or two of the showcases. So we'll see, like I said, what that brings about in the new year. So
either way, it'd be nice to get you over here before then, but still, that's as a consolation prize. I can wait a few months if I have to. Plus,
well, listen, man, if you can make it happen and we can all fit in the schedule and we can do it before the snow,
We'd be happy to.
you know.
There's people listening that are in bands, so they should be listening to this and reaching out to you directly right now.
Reach out. We'll be
Hey,
more
you.
than happy if we can make the schedules work together. We will definitely be more than happy to come down,
Absolutely.
and vice versa.
Yeah, and
Right.
we'll-
I mean,
Yep.
we'll be looking to, book some more shows and stuff in the new year, and it goes both ways. I mean, the important thing in this whole industry is the networking and the people that and things like that. So the more people that we get to know,
Helping each other out instead
yeah,
of
exactly, right,
Absolutely.
just as
Yeah.
much as we can. I mean, they want to play, we want to play, so let's get together and book some shows.
Yeah, we'll come to Nova Scotia. We'll return the favor when you come to Moncton. We'll make it happen, right? Like we can definitely work it out and make sure that we all get to play and I mean, we did PEI at the first stop on the tour, and that was really cool. We linked up with the band out there, Magnolia, and so we're gonna return the favor next year when they come out to Moncton, and so we got our foot in the door in PEI, which is nice. So we hope to go back there in the new year and play some more yeah, that's I agree. We can get to Nova Scotia. Yeah, we'll do it. Just hit us up. We'll make it happen.
There you go. I know that there's going to be a couple people that are listening that are in familiar type bands, so everybody should take up that opportunity. I like to see people supporting each other, but also it's nice to be able to do some cross province stuff.
Absolutely.
Especially now that things are a little bit more not normal, but our new normal where things are open and you can move around.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice. Like I'm saying, when you come into Nova Scotia, Moncton's not that far away. It's the same drive to Halifax, basically. So
yes,
I could drive up there to see you at some point.
Yeah, put the work in.
Yeah, no.
So as we're getting ready to wind it down, the name Echo 7, I was disappointed to find out that it wasn't initially a Star Wars reference. So where did that name come from? I was like, these guys are Star Wars geeks. That's awesome.
Well, we are. It's just that when it came time to choose a band name, I was not in that headspace. I just always wanted a band called Echo. And I believe the first incarnation of this band with Justin, I think the rehearsal time was at 7. And I just liked the way the word sounded. And I was like, okay, Echo 7, that's it. I would love to have a better story to go along with it. Maybe I could take the Star Wars story and just, make it my own. And but no, I am a Star Wars fan. My whole family is. So it's sad that I didn't go that route, but it's a nice coincidence. So it all worked out.
Yeah, that's when I was naming my. I'm doing a little work on the side, and my favorite color is red, and like my OCD number has always been 4. Like in the car, it needs to be on 4, 8, 12, 16. Like everything had to be in 4s. And I was like, red 4 works. Became a little logo, and I was like, oh my god, it just worked, right? So yeah, made my own Star Wars reference of it inadvertently.
It's a subliminal Star Wars. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's always
it lives in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
it's in the forefront of my mind. So So where can people find you online, social media wise? We know that the Bandcamp, and then Instagram, your
is a
biggest one?
good
Or?
choice.
Yes, Instagram is our biggest one. So hit us up on Instagram. You can follow all the band members on Instagram. So if you go to, I believe, the band page where it's all listed. So if you go to Echo 7 on Instagram, you'll see all the band members' Instagram profiles are all listed in our little bio there. Echo7band.com is the official website. It links to our music, to merch. There's some press clippings up there and some pictures and things. Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you're big on Facebook, we're on Facebook as well. We are also on Twitter at _Echo7. And you can email us directly at echo7band@gmail.com.
And then check out our videos on YouTube.
Yes, thank you. Yes. You can find our videos. All of our videos are on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah. And,
So you can find us there as well.
and we will link your YouTube, your Instagram, and your Bandcamp in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, at the end of this video, we'll have a link to their channel there as well. So you can just finish this video off and click on the link at the end to their page as well.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
we're going to finish off with Blame. Anything you want to say about the song before we play it out?
This song is our most favorite song to
It's our
date.
favorite.
It's a very good representation of, sonically, creatively where we are at now, but we are going on an upward trajectory. So that's us. Blame is a very good representation of what Echo 7 is, and where we're going. I'm so looking forward to everyone hearing new material. Like, it's crazy.
Awesome.
It really is. But yeah, Blame is a song about just, not taking responsibility for other people's attitudes or opinions of you or their hatred of you. That's their problem. They need to deal with that. They are the ones to blame for that. You take charge of your life and you move on and keep going forward. So that's what the song's about. Check out the video on YouTube. Steph does a great acting job in that one. And shot by 3OK Media. And yeah, that's the song.
Perfect. So this was Echo 7, and here's Blame. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks again.
Thank you.